Hello, it's 10 a.m. here in Seoul, and I'm Kim Dami. There are 4 reforms that President Yoon Suk-yeol says must be realized for the livelihoods of the people. There are pension reform, labor reform, education reform, and healthcare reform. President Yoon may once again reiterate his vow to complete the reforms in a moment, and that is why we are breaking into our regular programming to bring you live coverage of his remarks. Now, in the 46th cabinet meeting that will soon begin, President Yoon could also order related officials to closely monitor and manage possible economic risks like the impact on the domestic crude oil supply that could stem from the war in the Middle East. And today, October 29th, also marks the Local Autonomy Day here in South Korea. It's a day established to recognize and promote democracy and the efficiency of local autonomous administration. It's also a day to ensure balanced development of local areas, which is in line with what the Yoon administration has been carrying out policy discussion with citizens. It's been traveling across the country so that every region, and not just the metropolitan area, sees the growth and development that it deserves. The discussions are special in that they also allow citizens of all ages and social brackets to pitch in when it comes to government policy making. This weekend also marks the 2nd anniversary of the Itaewon crowd crush, a tragic incident that took 159 lives, mostly young adults, during Halloween celebrations on October 29th back in 2022. He may also make note of that awful tragedy. Now, President Yoon could also take his time to address North Korea's deployment of soldiers to Russia. In fact, Seoul and Washington have confirmed that the North has sent at least 10,000 troops to Russia to fight in Ukraine. Now, NATO also warns that those soldiers could quickly advance to the front lines of the biggest conflict in Europe since the Second World War. President Yoon Suk-yeol has especially keen to look after people's livelihoods, which is why he's been stressing the importance and desperate need for major reforms in 4 areas. And just yesterday on Monday, the South Korean leader once again ordered related ministries and officials to speed up so that those reforms are swiftly implemented with tangible outcomes. We are still waiting for the 46th cabinet meeting of the year to begin. Here, President Yoon Suk-yeol is about to stress the importance of implementing 4 major reforms. He's about to deliver his remarks. We'll come back afterwards.
Let us begin the cabinet meeting. Well, this year we have already approached to the near end, and November is just around the corner. For the remaining 2 months, the government, first and foremost, will put all our efforts into the promotion of 4 major reform tasks. They are medical, pension, labor, and education reforms, the 4 major reforms, and this is equal to people's livelihood. In order to foster creative future human resources and ensure a work-life balance within stable labor management relations, and create a country where people can receive high-quality medical benefits and live without worrying about their after-retirement days. And this is the 4 major reforms of our government. The structural reform of the entire society, if this is not done, then the livelihood will not be there, and the future of the country is not there. And the success or failure of the reform lies in the hands of the public officials. In the next 2 months, we must thoroughly review the progress of the 4 major reforms and devote all our efforts into achieving the results. The most imminent task is medical reform. So we are just preparing for the coming winter, and we have to maintain the medical system without any gaps so that there's no disruption in patient treatment. Respiratory diseases like COVID-19 and cardiovascular diseases in the elderly are especially vulnerable diseases that happen frequently in the winter cold weathers. So in order to prevent the public from becoming anxious, we have to prepare thoroughly the emergency system. And the support project for restructuring high-level general hospitals, let us accelerate this. And as of yesterday, I understand that 18 high-level general hospitals, including Asan Medical Center, applied. We need more hospitals to join this rank and the medical reform within this year and root out the practice of excessively relying on the junior doctors. We have to make every effort to ensure that high-level general hospitals can be reborn as these intensive care-centered hospitals. The non-payment and the insurance reform should also be sped up. And for this medical reform, the government plans to invest a total of 30 trillion won, combining national budget and health insurance. However, if such non-payment and the insurance are not in harmony with the public insurance, then the efforts will go in vain. So I hope that the chairman of the Financial Service Commission and the Minister of Health and Welfare prepare a plan to improve the insurance system and build a system of coexistence. I also hope that the measures for the legal risks of medical accidents that have caused doctors engaged in essential medical care to leave will be prepared as quickly as possible. We have to promote areas that can be implemented immediately, such as improving the investigation procedure so that it can be felt by the people, and make efforts so that the Medical Accident Special Act, along with other reasonable dispute resolution system, be discussed sufficiently in the National Assembly. Pension reform is a major livelihood issue, and the government is putting its efforts and has proposed a single pension reform plan for the first time in 21 years. So I hope the National Assembly will quickly establish a structure to discuss and conduct in-depth discussions so that we can see a visible progress. The government will also be active in the participation. Labor reform cannot be delayed any further. As a result of consistently establishing labor management law since the launch of our government, the field has become more stable. And based on this, we must now spur the structural reform that expand job opportunities for the people. Jobs are the first and foremost priority for the people. We must make the labor system flexible so that workers and companies can freely choose various working hours and work methods so that they will create sustainable jobs. I hope that we actively engage in social dialogue, including discussions at the Economic and Social Welfare Committee, and come up with the best solution. In addition, in order to protect the vulnerable in the labor area, the Labor Weakness Protection, Vulnerable Protection Act and Fair Employment Act have to be discussed in the National Assembly. Educational reform should create real results centered on core tasks so that we can experience a different system from next year. By integrated standards for teachers, qualification, and etc. This will be finalized by the end of this year. And the Nulbom School, which is currently operating in all first-grade elementary schools nationwide, will be spread and will be prepared thoroughly so that it can be expanded to second grade from next year. And we should thoroughly prepare teachers, training and internet networks so that the AI digital textbooks will be introduced for the first time next year and take root in the field. Even before the release of AI digital textbook at the end of November, we can use promotional videos so that the public can experience what it is in advance. In addition, the RISE system, which supports universities to cultivate permanent talent and grow together with the region, this will be expanded to 17 cities nationwide next year, and 2.2 trillion won in funds will be transferred to local governments and invested in universities. The Ministry of Education should do its utmost for that this could be implemented thoroughly. The four major reforms are national tasks that cannot be accomplished with the efforts of just few ministries. All the members of the cabinet should take active cooperation. And today is the day of Local Autonomy and Balanced Development Day. The Ninth Constitutional Amendment in 1987 and in 1995 national simultaneous local elections, and taking that the local autonomy system had restarted, and we are celebrating 30th year next year. We must further develop the local autonomy system to improve the quality of life in residents and achieve balanced development. Our government is a locally balanced government. The core principle of state affairs is to open a local era where regional balanced development and the regional areas are good places to live. And with the enactment of the Local Decentralization and Balanced Development Act, and the Local Era Committee was launched to lead such efforts. The government is introducing the 4 special zones to the local era to overcome the crisis of local extinction, and is focusing on attracting large-scale investments to these areas. We have led the agreement on the administration integration of Daegu and Gyeongbuk to overcome the one-party system of the metropolitan area, and our government has also achieved the launch of 2 special autonomous provinces of Gangwon and Jeonbu. In the future, the government will continue to make every effort to strengthen regional competitiveness and enable each region to develop by taking advantage of its characteristics. The era of central government unilaterally deciding and distributing things to the region is over now, and it is the era where each local governments develop their own strategy by utilizing their advantages. The shift of the center gravity to the local governments will be done in a more bold manner, and the central government will become a strong supporter of the success for local governments. The power of autonomy can work properly when authority and responsibility are balanced. I hope that the cabinet members will also think about how to establish a system that have more authority and to give more authority to local governments while taking the responsibility for it as well. In 2021, one man in his 20s was taking care of his ill father and eventually gave up his life. And this was a tragic incident that we all remember. With this incident, the social interest had increased for the youths who have the burden to take care of their family. However, we still have many young people who are taking care of their families. According to a recent survey, in the metropolitan area, there are about 70,000 youths who are bearing the burden of taking care of their family. And trapped in this vicious cycle of poverty, they are unable to think about having work or studying, and neglecting those in need does not conform to the values of freedom pursued by our government. This year, the government launched a pilot project to provide one-on-one support for such youths in difficulties, but many young people are still not using it because the promotion was not up to sufficient level. We need to work harder to identify target groups in cooperation with schools, hospitals, and private organizations. We need to expand customized support to the entire lives of family-caring youths, including not only basic areas, but also scholarships, jobs, and psychological counseling and housing. I hope that related ministries centered around Ministry of Health and Welfare will cooperate to take more care. I also ask the public to lend a helping hand so that these young people around them do not fall behind in society. The economic growth rate in the third quarter was 0.1% higher than the second quarter and 1.5% higher than the third quarter of last year, but it is falling short of the original expectations. Nevertheless, the demand is picking up, which is encouraging news centered on facility investment and consumption. The sluggish sectors, such as construction investment, should have more supplementary measures, and I hope the policy efforts should take place so that the government recovery momentum can spread to every corner of the society. In addition, concerns about external uncertainty are greater than ever. The U.S. presidential election is just next week coming up, and tensions in the Middle East are rising after Israel attacked Iran last weekend. We must respond promptly so that supply chains, oil prices, and exchange rates do not have a negative impact on our economy. The Ukraine war continues for the third year, and amidst this, North Korea has gone beyond providing weapons to Russia and now dispatched troops. The illegal military collusion between Russia and North Korea is a serious matter that poses a grave security threat to the international community and pose a threat to our security. We must thoroughly examine all possibilities and prepare the countermeasures. I hope everyone will remain alert and more vigilant and manage risks. Today marks the second anniversary of the Itaewon tragedy. I pray for the souls of those who have sadly passed away and also offer my deepest condolences to the bereaved families who are living in sorrow. Protecting the daily lives of the people and creating a safe society is a true way to mourn the victims. I ask the relevant ministries to do their utmost in inspecting and supplementing the multi-safety system, including crowd management.